Woof woof! Hey guys, it's me Marcus, aka the Mad Dog. It's the beginning of the season, and you know that can mean only one thing. Yes, it is time for your Spring 2023 edition of Whale Watch. This is a series that I do once a month where we take a recording of my screen and we take a look at some of the books that are going out of print. Maybe they've gone out of print and you've got a last minute chance to find them, or maybe we can just find you a good deal along the way. I say this at the beginning every time, but some people still don't believe me, but I'm not doing this to try and drive up any kind of fear of missing out. I don't really have any kind of insider information. I'm just simply a fan of this hobby that doesn't want other people to miss out on some of the books that they may want. Now, it's been a few months, so I can't remember if I say anything else before we kick this off, but the first book that we're going to look at is one that was quite a surprising reprint. I thought this book was not going to be coming back, but it's the Matrix Comics 20th Anniversary Edition. I have this book thanks to Baharaf, and I also think this is the reason why I knew that this reprint existed, but this went stupid out of print at one point. Look, just a couple of months ago in December, you couldn't get this book at all, and the cheapest new copy was 170 quid. There was a good year that this wasn't available. And as well, with this specifically saying that it's the 20th Anniversary Edition, and now the Matrix is I think 23 years old, which feels weird to say. I don't know if this is going to be one of those books that they'll bring back again. Now, I can't seem to find it on Forbidden Planet, and I can't seem to find it at Read Comics either, but it is available on Amazon and they've got it shipping at the moment. But it does seem as if there is a couple of copies left at full price over here on Amazon US. So this is one of those books that I know that fans of the films would really enjoy. It does really expand the universe well, but at the same time, when it went out of print, I didn't see a lot of these cropping up on the second-hand market. And like I said, I did not think that this was going to come back around for a second time. Maybe it's some kind of deja vu, maybe it's a glitch in the Matrix. But either way, if this was a book that you wanted, maybe you were disappointed when it was out of print and you couldn't justify the price that it was going for, make sure that you pick it up now if you still want it. And in typical Whale Watch fashion, after I filmed the last video, all the news started coming out of all these reprints that I probably should have covered in that video, but I can't go back in time and film it. Whale Watch takes a while. But there was huge news that came out from Rick Remender and Giant Generator Studios. They've got some real concrete plan now to make sure that everything gets reprinted, starting off with a restock of 7 to Eternity. That was something that I covered in the previous 2 Whale Watches, and that sold out at a distributor level really quickly. But as you can see here, it is in stock again at Organic Price Books. They've got great packaging, fast shipping, and amazing customer services, and if you use code WOOFWOOF, you'll get $2 off your order. And if you're ordering 3 or more books and you want them to be delivered together, make sure you use code WOOFWOOF, ship it together for 5% off your entire order. Don't worry, you can just copy and paste them from the description down below, and you can use these codes as many times as you like. That is a massive lifesaver to this channel, so everybody who uses those codes is making sure that the lights stay on here. But yeah, so 7 to Eternity, they were pretty quick at getting that back in stock. It's available at Amazon again. It's also available at Read Comics, and I imagine there's a few other places as well. But the big news is some of the reprints that are coming back in, kicking it off in April with Tokyo Ghost. You can already pre-order this from Organic Price Books, and with these reprints, we don't really know what the stock levels are going to be like. I know Rick Remender only likes doing one print run at a time. He's not really active in keeping everything available, so if you know that Tokyo Ghost or 7 to Eternity or any of the upcoming books that we're going to talk about are the ones that were missing from your collection, make sure you jump on them. But yeah, you can already get your pre-orders in as well at Forbidden Planet, and I imagine a lot of other places are going to do that as well. They also said Deadly Class Book 1's coming back in print, but they didn't say anything about volumes 2 or 3. There is an upcoming volume 4, which is the last volume of this series, and then it's done. And I do get the feeling that after the fact, this series might start drying up, or they might go down a compendium route. So I do feel like this is the final chance to get all these Deadly Class volumes, and I wouldn't really wait around on them. But yeah, they haven't said anything about Book 2 or Book 3, so we'll see if you can still get them, because it might be worth jumping on them now if it is the case that they're not going to reprint them later on. Book 1's still readily available, and you can get Book 2 and Book 3, but when this Book 4 comes out, I get the feeling some of them are going to start drying up. The Scumbag Deluxe Edition, that's going to be the first time that it's being printed. Again, I'd still recommend getting a pre-order in. You've got the new Deadly Class book that you've got the new Deadly Class book, which you've got the new Deadly Class book, which we just touched on, along with A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. God, these books really aren't kind to my lisp. But the big news, the one that had everybody freaking out, is that in November of this year, you can get Fear Agents Book 1 and Book 2 again. We are talking about the super fancy editions. If there are any books on this list that you should be making sure that you pre-order as soon as you can, it's going to be the Fear Agent volumes. You can already pre-order them off Amazon, so pretty much the one place that I didn't look is the one where it's available. But the original editions of these came out back in 2012, and just look how out of print they are. Look, at one point somebody was trying to charge nearly £900 for a copy of this. Do not sleep around on this. I'd even be tempted to put multiple pre-orders in and just cancel whichever doesn't come first. Now, one that I've had people asking me about is the Spawn Fancy editions. These ones here, because I know there was a couple that didn't really make it across to the UK that quickly, and it already looks as if volume volume 2's drying up. I'm struggling to see volume 1 on here as well, but I know a few people said that they got them from Read Comics. Yeah, so unfortunately they've dried up already over here. You can also get all 5 volumes from Comics Bugle. This is another company that operates inside of the EU. They're still within the first year, but it seems like they're just really catering towards getting great shipping. I'm gonna doubt that Forbidden Planet's got it if Read Comics didn't. Yeah, you can only get volume 5, and this is a point that I have to bring up. Volumes 1 to 4 were reprints. You probably already know that, but volumes 5 and the upcoming volume 6, there probably is going to be a bigger print run of them. So if you're somebody who's got none of these, you might have to really jump on them quickly. That's obviously if you've got the money. I've always preached that you should never go over budget for comics. Make sure you can pay your bills first, which is ironic considering that I'm really struggling at the moment. And volumes 1 and volumes 2 are on back order over at Organic Price Books. You can still get volumes 3, 4 and 5, so that is definitely an option. But I think especially if you're in the UK, you might have to look at some of those EU shops if it is that you want to catch up on this series. And imagine that these aren't cheap to produce, especially with them doing those oversized hardcovers and the compendiums. There's a lot of different ways to get Spawn. This is for the premium level of collector, the person who really knows that they want this in the best format possible. And I imagine the number of people in that category are much smaller than the ones that would be happy with oversized hardcovers or compendiums. So if you were the person who wanted these, you have to make sure that you're getting them quickly. Another one that I want to talk about is the Invincible hardcover compendiums. Now Invincible is in a similar league to Spawn, and I don't mean in terms of quality because Invincible is one of the greatest series of all time, but I just mean in the sense that it's been printed in so many different formats that if you wanted this, you've probably already found it in one way or another, which leads me to believe that these hardcover versions of the compendiums aren't really going to be around that long. But for me, if you wanted this in a hardcover, why wouldn't you go for the Ultimate Collections? You're literally just paying for the cover to be a bit harder because it's not oversized, but still each to their own, and I know that some people would want to get them in this format, but I think this is another one that's probably going to dry up, especially with the TV show coming back out. If you were watching Whale Watch last year, you will remember how hard these were to find, and that was the paperback editions, not the hardcovers. So it is on back order over at Organic Price Books, not available over at Forbidden Planet. Oh, it'd help if I could spell, but it's still not available over at Forbidden Planet. Read Comics says that they're getting more stock of it in mid-March, so maybe that is something that's going to happen. It is available over at Walt's Comic Shop, and I'm not sure if this was one of those books that was direct market only, which means that the bigger retailers like Amazon, and if you're in America, stuff like Barnes & Noble probably won't get their hands on it. But it is one that I think if you were interested in this specific version of this specific format, that you're probably best having it on your radar. Like I said, you might be safe until all 3 volumes come out, but at the same time, I just don't really know. But some big news that came out pretty much just before I started filming this was that they're finally going to be doing a 4th volume of the library editions. Is that my thumbnail? That might be my thumbnail. I'm going to have to check, I'm sorry. We're going on a tangent. Yeah, that's my exact thumbnail. Look, with the yellow box and the blurring in the background.
2 seconds later.
But yeah, the library editions are pretty much the equivalent of the absolutes, and they did volumes 1 to 3, but I don't think a lot of people were buying them, so they just never finished off the series. It now seems like they're coming back to it, which would mean that they'd need at least 6 volumes in total to complete all of Invincible. And I remember reading somewhere that yeah, so they are going to be doing a new printing of volume 1. No word yet on volumes 2 or 3. I know that they were in stock for ages because just nobody was buying them because they hadn't finished out the series. But yeah, so that is great news, and yet another format that you can get Invincible in. But you might see people trying to sell off the volume 1s cheap. Don't buy into it. There's going to be a new printing, so if you can get it for undercover price, then yeah, maybe jump on it. But if not, don't waste your money. Another series that I think should be on your radar is the deluxe editions of Gideon Falls. Now, with the release of volume 2, this series is done in this format, which to me makes me think that it eventually might dry up. When it comes to Jeff Lemire deluxe editions, the only things that I can think of is Descender, and that is something that we're going to touch on next. It's next on the list. But they dried up as soon as the series wasn't really that relevant anymore, when there wasn't that sequel title coming out, so I think Gideon Falls might be the same. At the minute, you can still get it quite healthily available at a lot of different places, so you might as well if you've got the money for it. So that's something that I do just think you should have on your radar for now, but not really worry about. But yeah, whilst we're touching on it, I reached out to JP over at Organic Price Books. He was very helpful with this video, and he said that one that has gone out of print at Diamond is Descended. These are the reprints, and I've said it before that 9 times out of 10, a reprint is going to have a much smaller print run than the first release. So you can still get volume 1 and volume 2 over at Amazon. Volume 2 is sold out over at Organic Price Books, but you can get volume 1. Purple Button are doing for volume 1 and volume 2 over at Read Comics. Walt's Comics got volume 1 in stock. It says volume 2 to follow, but it's been a few months since it was released and I can't see it here. So this is definitely one that's probably top of the priority list if you missed out on the first printing and now this reprint. Make sure you jump on it whilst you still can, especially that volume 2. It seems like nowhere's got that besides Amazon. And in a similar league, I think Ascender's going to be the same way. I believe this is the complete series, so there isn't going to be a volume 2 with this, and if it is that the primary series of Descender's going out of print, why wouldn't the sequel series? It might stay in stock a bit longer than those because of the fact that this is a first printing and Descender was in a reprint, but I don't think it's a good sign that this is going to stay available for a while. Sure, there's always the possibility that they could do other reprints, but you've got to ask yourself, why would they do it when there's no buzz about the series anymore? The only reason those Descender reprints came out is because Ascender was getting a deluxe edition. They weren't just doing it to be nice, although maybe it was. Jeff Lemire does seem like a good dude, but the long and short of it is, if you're missing anything in deluxe edition from this Ender series, then make sure that you jump on it. A big one, some news that came out was that the Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, the super fancy beautiful edition, which is one of the best looking books that I've got in my collection, Disney has some kind of weird rule now that they won't reprint some of the stories in it, which to me says that the super fancy edition might not be around much longer. Now, full disclaimer, and I'm sure there's going to be at least one person in the comments section that's going to love correcting me, I do not know a lot about this. I only picked it up because it was at a stupid discount, and now I love it so much that I can't get rid of it. It's been in print for a year now. It is still in stock, but it's Amazon selling it at pretty much over full price, and I'm not sure if the stories that Disney said that they wouldn't reprint are included in this book, but I'm just assuming, I'm just putting it on your radar. This book was already gonna be in Whale Watch before that news was announced, and that just adds fuel to the fire. So yeah, it's only recently shot up in price. There has been times in the past where it's gone out of stock, but it never really drifted higher than cover price, at least for a new copy. I don't know who thought they were going to sell a used copy for twice as much. And as well, I know that they do these other editions of Scrooge McDuck. It feels like there's infinite volumes of these, so I've just never dared to jump into it. But it is a bit worrying that Disney said that there's certain stories that they won't reprint, because it means that if one of these collected editions have got them, that it's going to be very sought after. But the super fancy edition, I don't think they're going to do many reprints of this, if they've done any at all. It's straight up sold out over organic price books, and with this being such a big book, I can't see many places ordering a lot of copies of it because it's just so hard to stock it. Where would you put it? I haven't even been able to put it on my shelf. It's next to the shelf. Purple Button of Doom over at Read Comics. It's saying out to print over at Wald's Comic Shop, and it is pretty much full cover price. So this is a very boutique book, and I know that there must be a lot of people that wanted it but maybe couldn't afford it at first. I get the feeling that this is going to go for stupid prices when it is out of print, especially if some of the stories are never going to be reprinted again. Some good news though, and hopefully you guys saw this, but I remember saying this a while back, that I got the feeling that Lazarus is going to get a reprint at some point. So in June this year, they are finally reprinting the first 3 volumes of Lazarus. I'm going to make sure that I jump on these as well. I missed out on them before. I almost paid over cover price for them at one point. Remember during like the COVID era where we were all just stupid with our buying? Yeah, I almost paid over cover price for this, and I'm really glad that I didn't. I do believe this is going to be a widespread reprint, so you should hopefully be able to get this at Amazon. It's not available for pre-order just yet, and they're only showing volume 1. Sorry, that's volume 2. You can pre-order all 3 volumes over at Read Comics, and in all honesty, I don't know how big of a reprint this is going to be. I don't know how popular this title is, but with a lot of image reprints, I've noticed that places like Amazon won't put it up as like a pre-order listing like they would with a DC or a Marvel book. I'm not sure if it's underneath the same ISBN, and that's the reason why, but either way, one day it probably will just appear. So what I'd recommend doing is getting a keeper extension. What you can do with this, you've probably seen me using it throughout the video already. It'd help if I clicked on the hardcover. What this does is keep track of the prices, and you can also have a tracker on it. So if you want it to be less than £100,000, which is the default setting for some reason, it will then notify you directly as soon as it comes in under that price. I'd personally recommend getting your pre-orders in from something like Read Comics or Organic Price Books, just to make sure that you don't miss out on this again. But it also feels like a bit of a stealth reprint. They haven't gone the way of Rick Remender it and done some official announcements, which to me says that maybe they aren't going to be doing that many copies of it. Another one that I believe I should be getting Shadowcat is the From Hell Master Edition. It's this one right here. It's in complete colour, so some people might not like it for that reason alone, but it is a hardcover edition of it, and it does look like it's not going to be available for much longer. So this copy is only available from Amazon US. Everyone else is scraping by on about cover price, and it's been in print for nearly 3 years now. And realistically, the last time that Amazon UK had it was back in October of last year. So already that's not a great sign. If you're in the UK though, I do believe you probably would stumble on this in quite a few shops, and just bookshops in general. But yeah, I can only see the black and white paperback edition here. Can't seem to find it over at Read Comics either. Oh, it's Purple Button of Doom. For anybody outside of the UK, this is pretty much our equivalent of Barnes & Noble, but they just always seem to have the same 20 or so books in. It says it's unavailable, but like I said, I know I've seen this in a few shops. And also when I go Nottingham, it's always available in like page 45 $1.95. So I do believe you might stumble on this, but if you wanted it online, it looks like Amazon UK is going to be your best bet. And even then, it's not coming from the UK, it's coming from the US, so fair warning, that might turn up damaged. Another that I think should be on your radar, this is me trying to preemptively guess what's going out of print, but I'm going with Go-Go Power Rangers Deluxe Edition. You know how out of print some of those mainline editions of the Power Rangers series have gone, so do you think that they're going to be keeping the Go-Go series in print forever? I also get the feeling this might end up being a one print run only kind of deal. Once these 2 volumes are out, that's the series done, so there's no real incentive for them to keep this in print. And even with the release of volume 6 of the main series, it didn't reprint volumes 1 and 2. So Boom Studio has proven that they're not afraid of putting a Power Rangers book out of print. That's why I think that, yeah, you're probably safe until at least August when this second volume comes out, but then after that, I don't really think that these are going to be around for much longer. So I don't know, I think this is something that you should probably keep on the back burner, because I think it's a title that a lot of people are going to forget about, and then similar to the main line of Power Rangers books, it's going to go out of print and people are going to be desperate for this. So yeah, you can still get it widely available in a lot of places, but I think you should be looking at that. Now, this is going to bug a lot of people, but I'm going to include the Sleeper Omnibus in the indie section of Whale Watch. It just feels wrong to put a book that's done by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips in the DC section, but I get the feeling that this is not going to be around for long. Yeah, it was only printed in December, but a lot of people wanted this for a while, myself included. Now, I believe the cover price of this is about £80, so that is actually under cover price, but Amazon isn't showing it. There's only 11 places that are selling it, and yeah, you've got your books etc and your book depository, but it's not massively available. Speedy Hen's not got it, and that's where I got my volume from. But again, the reprints need to be top of your priority list, and it's been years since this was first printed. I didn't believe that they could reprint this. I thought there was some kind of issue with the rights. It is still available over at Organic Price Books, and it is in stock over at Read Comics. So yeah, you can still get it for now, but I do think it's going to dry up very quickly. So I'm putting that as a cautionary one that I think you should be looking out for. Now, in the Forbidden Planet sale, I often use this as a guide to see what books I think might be going out of print, because it's probably the case that Forbidden Planet just wants to get rid of it because nobody's buying it. Case in point, a Captain Marvel Hot Toys. And one that I noticed cropping up in here, and it's not available anymore, was the Boys Omnibus. And I said this before that I think these aren't going to be around for that long. You can get volume 2 and volume 3 from Forbidden Planet, but volume 1's only available in the signed edition. Volume 1 is available from Amazon, but there's only 9 places that are selling it, and they have got volume 2 as well. So I might be wrong on this one, but I just get the feeling that it isn't going to be around for that long. Yeah, sure, we've got the TV show coming out, but you've got to think that people who are watching the TV show who've maybe never read a comic before aren't really going to want to spend nearly 300 quid on books to read it. They'll go for the trade paperbacks. Volume 1, 2 and 3 are on back order over at Organic Price Books. The easiest way to get this seems to be to get the signed editions. So I don't know, that's just a cautionary one. I think I may have mentioned that one before, but it's something that I still don't have a good feeling about. Some good news for you manga fans though, the Dragon Ball manga box set came back in print, and Dragon Ball Z. Look, just a couple of months ago, somebody was trying to sell a used edition for nearly £150. It's been nearly a year since you could really get this from Amazon. I believe Dragon Ball Z was in a similar category. Yeah, this was out of print for a while as well. Can't seem to find it from Forbidden Planet. I'm not too sure if Read Comics would stock this. No, it doesn't look to be the case. But either way, it is available from Amazon, so if you missed out on these the first time or the second time, or how many times it's been printed before now, make sure you jump on them. Dragon Ball is my childhood to a certain extent, so I can definitely recommend this even if I haven't read the manga yet. The next book that we want to talk about, it's some good news, it's some bad news, but I saw this on the Omnibus Collectors group on Facebook. The Strangers in Paradise, which is a series by Terry Moore, is now getting like a 4-volume series, which is going to pretty much do the complete thing. They're going to be in hardcover, the limited edition, and it's going to be available through Abstract Studios. But we don't know too much about this, but for me, it says that maybe the original omnibuses are going to start drying up. And trust me, they were drying up for a while anyway. They were very difficult to get for quite a few years. Because it says here that the new editions are going to be 4 volumes. They're going to be the Strangers in Paradise story, but without the interruption of side stories, which to me says that it's not going to be complete. But the editions that I worry are going to go out of print are going to be these ones. Now, like I said, they were difficult to get anyway. The paperback edition is already on back order. There were not many places that you could find this in the first place, if I'm being honest. But now that there's going to be new editions, I think it's going to be even more difficult. But what this says to me is that the prices for the hardcover omnibus set is going to shoot up. You might still find it in a place or two. I can't really find one, but you might. So if you have got a line on that, or maybe you were looking at it because somebody was selling it and you put it off for ages, make sure you jump on it. The last one that we're going to talk about will hopefully be some good news for some of you, but it's the Usagi Yojimbo Special Edition. It's getting another reprint later on this month, March 15th, and you can already pre-order it from Organic Price Books. I think this is probably probably going to be a stealth restock with stuff like Amazon, or at least hopefully the price will come down a bit. Yeah, so they're selling it through Amazon US at the moment, and they're pretty much the only place that's selling it. Okay, so you can't pre-order the upcoming reprint, but you can from organic price books. That is definitely an option. And I think if you missed out on this the first time and this second time, don't miss out on it yet again. I don't know how big of a reprint this is going to be. Wish I did, it'd make this show really easy. Okay, so we're going to be jumping into the DC section now, and as you know, we always kick this off with a final order cutoff check. Now, the final order cutoff date is a date that retailers get where they have to put their orders in if they want to guarantee some copies. So if you put your pre-orders in before that date, then you're more than likely going to get a copy. And also, companies like Organic Price Books offer additional discounts if you pre-order before that date. And like I said, you can use those discount codes that I've got. It really helps your boy out. Yeah, I'm not against begging, but there are some massive books that are falling into this section in the coming months now. There are some cool stuff. It looks like we start with some kind of indie books. Don't know what certain magical index Old Testament omnibus is, but I don't know why anybody's paying $185 for a soft cover. So you do kind of have to get past this first page because there are some absolutely massive ones the further down that you go. So you can pre-order the second volume of the hardcovers of the Invincible compendiums. That's coming out in May of this year. Witchblade Volume 3. I thought this was a Kickstarter at first, but I'm not really sure what's happening. A book that I am very excited about, the Unwritten Compendium Volume 1. Yeah, I do kind of wish it was an omnibus, but at this point, I'm happy with anything. And a whammy boy that I am very excited for. It's the Green Lantern Corps by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason omnibus. It says Volume 1 as well. I've had a look at the solicitation. It does look as if there is some stuff that's missing, and I didn't know whether to do a double dip or skip on this where I talk about the issues that are also included in books like the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run, or do a missing the issue. So guys, in the comment section, make sure you're weighing in on that one. But that is a must buy, and I cannot believe that it's got pretty much the same cover price as Dark Knight's Metal. Absolute Transmetropolitan Volume 2. We're going to talk about Volume 1 in a bit, but if it was that you wanted this, make sure you get a pre-order in. You've got the Superman Camelot Falls Deluxe Edition, and here we get into some of the big boys. So we've got the reprint of The Trial of Captain America, 3 different covers for the second omnibus of the Nick Spencer Spider-Man run, and that cover's phenomenal. I think that might be the one that sells out first. You've got the reprint of Alpha Flight, which I know a lot of people wanted. You've got X-Men Hidden Years, and of course, we've got Thor by Jason Aaron Volume 2. And yep, don't worry, I am definitely doing a double dipper skip on this with the War of the Realms omnibus. By the way, this is a book that I'm pre-ordering because I remember how quickly the first volume went out of stock. And again, we'll talk about that a bit in the Marvel section. You've got the Marvel's Omnibus Returns. I'm so excited for that one and just a reprint of the first one. Hopefully the binding's okay. You've got Wolverine Omnibus Volume 4, which I think a lot of people thought might never happen. First one's by Teixeira. I thought it was Glover Teixeira, and I was like, good on him, he's doing well after his retirement. We've also got the Andy Kubert cover, and then just a standard cover, which in my opinion, I think might be the best. Then one that there is no chance that I'm missing out on, we've got Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 3. These DMs keep drying up massively quick, so if you want either of these, if you want pretty much Volume 2 and Volume 3 to have Carnage on them, make sure you pre-order this. I also really like that Moon Knight cover. I don't know which way I'm going to go with this one. You've also got Volume 5 of the Avengers Silver Age, along with the new printing of Volume 4. You've got some Epic Collections and some Epic Collection reprints. Like we spoke before, we've got the Lazarus reprints. You've got Absolute Sandman Overture, and they're also doing a reprint of Absolute Preacher Volume 1. I'm not sure if they're going to do the later volumes. I'm assuming they might, but you just never know. But yeah, if you make sure you get them in before the final order cutoff date, it says it's 18 days away, which I believe makes it about the 15th of March. Then you'll get some additional discounts. You can use those discount codes that we talked about, and also make sure you're getting the books that you want. But jumping into the DC books, the first one that I'm going to look at is one that I'm currently reading at the moment, but it's the Flintstones Deluxe Edition. And this seems like a title that there was a lot of buzz about it when it first came out, but you don't hear people talking about it since. This is a beautiful book. I'd recommend people checking it out. It really wasn't what I thought it would be, and I mean that in a good way. It's at full cover price over here at Amazon. Books Etc.'s got it. Speedy Hen's got it at full price, but that's pretty much it. You can get it from Organic Price Books. It's available from Forbidden Planet, so maybe I'm really wrong with this one. And it's also available from Read Comics, so yeah, maybe swing and a miss with the first DC book, but you know, I thought I'd put it on the radar because I get the feeling that this is going to be one of those that will just disappear. It has been available for over a year now, and like I said, people aren't really talking about it. It doesn't look like there's a sequel series that's coming out. And DC with deluxe editions are what Marvel used to be like with omnibuses. When a DC deluxe edition goes out of print, you're pretty much never going to get it. They don't really seem that eager to keep them in print, so it is something that I do definitely think should be on your radar if you're interested in it. And before I do a whale watch, I always put out on Instagram what books you think should be on the radar, because I want to get you guys involved. We can all help each other with this kind of thing. And one suggestion that I got was the All-Star Superman Deluxe Edition. Now, it does seem as well like All-Star Superman is going to be very important to James Gunn's slate of DC films, so I think you will still be able to get this in some format. It's one of those kind of evergreen stories, but not always in the same way. Now yeah, it's pretty much what I believe would be full cover price at Amazon. They're not really sure what it would be. Jump up in price has been quite recent as well. Got a few other places that are selling it. You've got Speedy Hen, you've got Books etc, so there are a few places that are stocking this at the moment. It's on back order over here at Organic Price Books. Oh, it's in stock and for quite a decent price over at Forbidden Planet. So it does look like it's still available in quite a lot of places, but I also get the feeling that when the films get a bit closer to release, that maybe there's a trailer or something like that, people are going to start picking this up. So whilst you can still get it from the majority of places, I'd recommend just jumping on it. And thank you for suggesting that on Instagram as well. Now, I very rarely mention trade paperbacks in Whale Watch, because this show would go on forever if I did. But it's in a similar league to what I just said about All-Star Superman, because it's Supergirl World of Tomorrow. This got announced that it is going to be the framework for the Supergirl film that's coming out, but pretty much immediately the trade paperback disappeared. You haven't even got a third party person selling this, and it came out in July of last year. Now, I know what I just said about deluxe editions from DC, but with trade paperbacks they are very comfortable keeping stuff in print. Sure, there are some stuff that goes out of stock, but are you telling me that this book that's only been available for about 6 months, DC's just gone, yeah, even though there's a massive film coming out, make sure there's no way that you can buy it? Does not seem likely to me. If anything, I think there's going to be more versions of this coming out. So I'm not even really going to go in depth with this one, looking at different places, because I think this will come back in print and probably sooner rather than later. Now the first Omnibus series that I want to talk about is Books of Magic. I put Book of Magic. Now there are 3 volumes of this and I believe it completes this series. But now that the series is done, I get the feeling that you're going to start seeing these drying up. So yeah, you can still get them all at the moment. Amazon says that there's only 7 copies left of volume 1 and only 2 of volume 2, but I also saw that these started appearing in the Forbidden Planet sale, which to me is not a good sign. It's a good sign for me to wait out on that 3rd volume, because hopefully it'll appear in that, but it looks like it's disappeared, so maybe they've sold out of it as well. So you can get volume 3 from Forbidden Planet, and I think that's actually quite a good price. Books etc might still have it a little bit cheaper, but yeah, they sold volumes 1 and 2 at half price and now it's currently unavailable. Volume 3's on back order over at Organic Price Books. You can get all 3 volumes over at Read Comics and all 3 volumes over from Walt's Comic Shop. But like I said, I do get the feeling that this is going to be one of those series that is now going to start drying up. Yeah, it's part of the Sandman universe, but we've seen that sometimes the Sandman omnibuses go out of stock, and this is never going to be as popular as Sandman, so I get the feeling that if they'll let them go out of print, then they'll let this go out of print. So if it was the case that you wanted to jump on these but you were pushing them back, or maybe you were missing volume 2 or something like that, now might be the best time to start getting them. And I kind of just want to jump into sort of like a blanket thing with DC at the moment, because I never know what's going to get reprinted because they're so sporadic with it all. I still can't believe they haven't done a reprint of Wonder Woman by Gail Simone, but at the same time I'm glad that they did stuff like the Sleeper Omnibus. If you'd have asked me to put money on which book I think DC would reprint, it'd be Wonder Woman. And it's weird because DC seems to be doing both stealth restocks but solicited restocks, which makes it a bit confusing to follow. So if any of the information in this bit seems a bit wrong, it's probably because DC changes their mind so much and I'm not that great at my job. Because the next book, for example, I'm going to talk about the Dark Knight's Metal Omnibus. One that I cannot justify the price it's going for, but as you can see, I don't know if this is just a UK thing, but it doesn't seem like we got a lot of them across here. It shot up in price pretty much straight after its release date, and it wasn't available for pretty much an entire month. There are a few other places that are selling it, like you've got Books etc, so it's probably cheaper on their website, but I do not get the feeling that this is going out of print. I might be wrong, 9 times out of 10 I am, but this was such a hyped event, and considering how skinny it is compared to the cover price that it's going for, I get the feeling DC will make some more of these. It's very cost effective to do so. But speaking about event omnibuses, I believe there was a restock of Blackest Night. Yeah, it seems like a lot more of these came across here, even though Amazon's not the first place that's selling it. Books etc's got it, which is always a good sign. But there was a time, so yeah, pretty much since this year, it hasn't really been available from Amazon directly. That's a bit of a worrying sign considering Amazon's one of the biggest retailers on the planet. But I do believe you can get this at other places. Yeah, so you can get it from Organic Price Books. If Forbidden Planet's got it, that's a pretty good sign. Yeah, Forbidden Planet's got it, so you're pretty safe with this one. But that was one that did disappear for a little bit, but now it's coming back across here. But they didn't solicit it like they did with Batman by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason, so I don't know if they printed many of these, especially with it being a very whammy boy. But still, if you thought you missed out on it when it wasn't available in a lot of places, now's your time. Okay, so the camera died, so we're just going to jump back into it, but another book that I noticed that I think should be on your radar is the Infinite Crisis Omnibus. This was released during the height of the pandemic confusion when we didn't know what was happening with anything, but looking at it here, it's pretty much close to full cover price over at Amazon, and there's only a few places that are selling it. Book Depository is the only other one that I'd really trust. It's on back order over here at Organic Price Books. It's not available at all at Forbidden Planet. Read Comics says that they are getting some in halfway through March, so it might be worth keeping an eye on that, and I can't seem to find it over here at Walt's Comic Shop. So that is one that I'm not sure at all if there's going to be a restocking of it and it's going to be like a stealth edition, because who knows what's going to happen. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of buzz about this book anymore, or any real incentive for DC to keep this in print. That to me puts it on warning sign and that you should be looking out for this. And in a similar league, one that I think could disappear within the next 6 months is the reprint of 52. Now it came out July last year, so it's already been available for about 6 months, and again the restocks are confusing, none of us really know what's got the bigger print run. It is still available at Books etc, and I'm tempted to pick it up from there myself, because if you go on their website it's actually 52% off, and I feel like that's way too much of a sign for me to pass up on, and my trade paperbacks of this are falling apart. Now just the other day I noticed that Organic Price Books does have it, but we'll see if it's out of stock now. Yep, so it's still available there, and this might be one of those that's available in quite a lot of places, but I do get the feeling that it's going to disappear overnight. I don't know which night that's going to be, else I'd be telling you right now, but I do think that that's going to be the case. So with it being that this was out of print for a number of years, I would recommend just jumping on it, if it is that you can afford it, because it might be the situation that this is going to be the last printing that DC does for a while. Now some good news that I tried to find, and I can't remember where I saw it, but Nancy A. Collins herself confirmed that the Swamp Thing omnibus of her run is going to be pretty much evergreen. There might be a few times where it goes out of stock, which we've already seen happen in the last couple of years, but it will always eventually get reprinted again. Now I tried to find that tweet, I know I saw it, I know I didn't dream it, and I even typed in Nancy A. Collins Twitter Swamp Thing reprint, but nothing shows up. I don't know if I got the right Twitter account, but it just said that she's suspended. Like, did Twitter really not want to announcing that kind of thing? But hopefully someone in the comments can reconfirm what I saw, because I do think this is a good sign, and it means that you should never worry if it looks like it's going out of print. And please do not pay over cover price for it. But in a similar situation, it got me wondering about the Swamp Thing omnibus, the new 52 version, because this got a restock a couple of weeks ago, if I remember correctly, from Baharaf's group, and it has been healthily available, but again, it's another one of those books that kind of falls under the radar. I get the feeling if they're going to go with something a bit more classic like the Nancy A. Collins run, then they're going to keep this in print as well. This is one of the best modern Swamp Thing runs that you can go to, so why would you make this go out of print, but not one of the earlier ones? But still, I think it's very good news for Swamp Thing collected editions, and at the same time, it doesn't mean that you should never pick it up if you wanted it. Now, we touched on it during the final order cutoff check, but Absolute Transmetropolitan is getting a second volume reprint. But literally a matter of days ago, volume 1 was on sale. But now, as you can see, it's out of stock, and that was kind of going to be my point, that a lot of people slept on this reprint of the first volume because they didn't know if more were going to come. And let's be honest, it's volume 3 that most people missed out on, not volume 1. But now that volume 2's been announced, we can reasonably assume that volume 3 must be happening again. But then again, this is DC and we can't take anything for granted. But what I think's going to happen is that volume 1's going to be the one that becomes difficult to get. With sequel volumes, fewer copies are printed, and when it comes to reprints of sequel volumes, I don't even know what that's going to be. I can only assume it's going to be less than the original print run, which was already lower than the print run for the original volume. Not sure if that sentence made sense, I'm quite tired. But my point is that if you can get volume 1, it's worth jumping on it. I almost did it for this sale price, but you know, I've got too many bills at the minute, because you don't want it to be the case that this is just one of those series that it's never completely in stock at the same time. Yeah, it looks like volume 1 isn't available at the moment. There's 3 used copies, but again, it's like I said, when a company puts something on sale, it's normally because they want to get rid of it. It's sold out over at Organic Price Books. It is in stock at Read Comics, but for a bit of a steeper price, and you can't get it over at Walt's Comic Shop. So that is one that I definitely think needs to be top of your radar if it is that you're going to be getting this reprint of volume 2 and you're hoping for a volume 3. You never know as well, maybe DC will do a restock of volume 1 in time for volume 2. I know they did that with stuff like Absolute Swamp Thing, so it might be a similar case here, but that's not guaranteed. Some good news, JSA by Jeff Johns got reprints again. Well, it's more restocking because he didn't announce it, it just happened overnight. But as you can see at the moment, all 3 volumes are available from Organic Price Books, and at least he didn't go as stupidly out of print as he did last time. They're still pretty much all full cover price over here at Amazon. You can get volume 2 and volume 3 from Read Comics, and it says that they're getting more copies of volume 1 later this month. Might even be by the time this video has gone out. But I do think this is good news, and the last time these got restocked, I told you guys to not sleep around on these just in case it is that they disappear again. So I'm going to give you the same warning, because you can't take it for granted that just because there's been restocks before that there's going to be more. So if you were missing some gaps in your collection when it came to JSA, now's probably your time. And I'm just doing a cautionary check on the Green Lantern by Jeff Johns omnibuses, because I remember mentioning these in either the last Whale Watch or the one before, but Reed Comics says that they're getting some stock of it halfway through March, so it might be looking out for that one as well, because the stock levels of these fluctuated quite heavily. Another one that sort of spun out of the Forbidden Planet sale is the 100 Bullets omnibus. Now as you can see here, volume 2 is on sale, which like we said before isn't really a good sign. Volume 1's out of stock here. Last I checked, Organic Price Books had both volumes, but both of them are on back order at the moment, and the price has drifted up over here on Amazon. You can still get them from a few places, and volume 2 has been out for less than a year, but it is also a sequel volume, and it felt like ages until DC announced that this was even being printed. With it being that this is a 2-volume set, it is now complete, and DC hasn't really got that incentive to continue restocking it, unless of course there's some TV show or something that's coming out along the way. But for me, with it only being 2 volumes, if you were missing part of this, it's probably worth jumping on it. And another one that's solely because of the Forbidden Planet sale is the Hellblazer by Garth Ennis omnibus. I remember when this first came out, it was in a similar category as Infinite Crisis, that we did not know if this was coming or going, but it seems like it's been helpfully available for about 2 or so years now. But with it being in that sale category, it makes me think that there isn't really a lot of people that are in demand for it. Quite a few places are selling it at Amazon, but look, it's been in print for nearly 3 years. And as well, I know a lot of people, myself included, were a bit disappointed with this release because we really just wanted Hellblazer omnibuses. Do the whole thing, it's all great. But I know some people probably do just want to read the Garth Ennis part of it, which is why this omnibus was printed in the first place, so I do reckon that this is one that you should probably be jumping on. Especially if you're in the UK, I think that's a great price that you shouldn't really be missing out on. It is in stock over at Organic Price Books, and it is still available from Reed Comics as well, but still, I think it being in that sale section isn't really a great sign. Another one that again is going to fall into pretty much the exact same category, so I'm not going to touch on it for too long, which is the Lucifer omnibuses. Now volume 1's been discounted to £65, but I still think I initially got it cheaper than that anyway. Sometimes this sale isn't actually that much of a sale, but volume 2 just sort of appeared. It didn't seem like there was much fanfare when it came out, it didn't seem like there was a lot of buzz, and I'm putting this in a similar category to everything that I said about Books of Magic. It is a Sandman spin-off, and yes, although Sandman's popular, they've allowed that to go out of print in different formats, and I can see this probably getting a compendium or something a year from now, and then these slowly drying out. Volume 2 seems to be less available than Volume 1, not many places selling it there. Volume 2 says pre-order over at Organic Price Books, but there isn't an updated date on when it's coming in. But the bottom line is that if you did want these volumes, because it's not necessarily one of the most popular Vertigo titles, I think it would slowly go out of print, and a lot of people wouldn't realise. Last couple of books I'm going to touch on here, I know I mentioned this a few months ago, but it's going to be the Animal Man by Jeff Lemire. Yeah, the initial art is done by Travel Foreman. I've read the Immortal Iron Fist recently that he did the second half of the art for, and I have some very honest words to say about it. But don't allow that to make you overlook this run of Animal Man, because it is great and I do think a lot more people should read it. But look, there's nowhere that's really selling it. Yeah, you've got Book Depository and Blackwell's. Someone's selling it used for 130 quid. It is in stock over at Organic Price Books and also Forbidden Planet. Who knows, maybe for once it's a case that Amazon's going to lose stock of it first. Or it could just be the case that there was like a direct market restock that I'm not aware of. I'm not aware of a lot, I'm not that intelligent. And you can also get it from Walt's Comic Shop. Now this is one that you do have to take with a pinch of salt because of the fact that I said this was going out of print last year and then that restock came. So keep this one on your radar, don't pay more than you're happy to do so with it, because it could be the case that this time next month there's a reprint or restock or whatever the proper term is for it. Now the last DC book that I'm going to talk about is some kind of good news, and it's the fact that the Justice League New 52 Volume 2 is quite healthily available. In the last Whale Watch, especially here in the UK, it looked like there wasn't a lot of copies of this that made it across here. I said not to worry with how new of a release it was of such a big title with big names working on it, and I'm glad that for once it seems like I've been proven right. So yeah, it's not the cheapest price at Amazon, but I think Books Etc. still got this. It's probably cheaper if you go to them directly. It's also back in stock over at Organic Price Books and also in stock from Reed Comics, so that was one that you might have panicked about because I saw a lot of people worrying when it first came out, and it pretty much went out of stock on its release date. But people are very quick to announce when something looks like it's gone out of stock, but not so much when it's come back. So you might have completely forgot about this, but it's there, it's available, you can get it pretty much from anywhere that you want to, and I think it's worth jumping on it. Now we're just going to go full steam ahead, even though it does sound like I'm about to pass out on my screen, and jump into the Marvel books. The first thing that we're going to do is a Miracle Man check, and this might be a new section that we do to replace the Shang-Chi check, which was the section of the show where we check on a boy Shang-Chi. Great, now I can do it first try. But obviously with there being so many different rights issues about Miracle Man, I'm always a bit on the fence with it. But ooh, look, this is the Parental Advisory Edition. Yeah, so it is back in stock over here at Amazon, but it does look like they're shipping it on behalf of Amazon US. They're the cheapest place at selling it as well, and there's not a lot of other places. It's just the Nolan cover that seems to be out of stock over at Organic Price Books, and you can still get what should have been the main cover. I know Forbidden Planet was out of stock with all three of these at one point, but at least they've got the Davies version back in stock. And similar situation to Organic Price Books, it's only the Nolan cover that's unavailable. But again, this is one of those that I definitely do not think you should be sleeping on. If you wanted Miracle Man, even though it is quite a thin omnibus for the price it is, jump on it, because I can imagine that if this does go out of print, it's going to go for stupid prices. Now I know I mentioned this in the Autumn Whale Watch, but I had JP over at Organic Price Books pretty much say the same thing, that the Savage Avengers omnibus is one that you definitely need to make sure you get your pre-orders in for. With all these rights issues that have been happening with Conan and Marvel, who knows if they're going to be able to do a second printing of this. I would not be surprised in the slightest if this ends up being one of those books that goes out of stock on its release date. And yeah, sure, I might be wrong, and it might be the case that Marvel's got an exception with this, because of the fact that it's not strictly a Conan title, but we just don't know at this point. And with this being such a fun series, I'd hate to think that people are going to miss out on it, which is why you need to make sure that you get your pre-orders in. You have missed the final order cutoff, but I know JP himself said that he's over-ordered on this, but even then we don't know how long that's going to last. Yeah, you can still get both covers, and it's coming out in 2 or so weeks, so I get the feeling this isn't one of those books that you can afford to sleep on. You need to make sure that you get this as soon as you can. If you've got a very strict budget, I'd be moving money around so that you can make sure that you get this. And like I said, I might live to eat my own words, but I'd rather have this and then it still be healthily in stock a couple months later than to not buy it and think I could have waited and not be able to find it at all. Now, this was one that I mentioned in the final order cutoff check, but we're going back to it now because it's the Ven Omnibuses. Now, yeah, there is a restocking of the standard cover for Volume 1, but it doesn't look like there's any mention of Volume 2 or Volume 3. And I think they are long out of print now. Yeah, they're already showing that it's only third-party sellers, and that is a very steep price for a used copy as well. And I don't know if Marvel's going to do a stealth restocking of Volume 2 and Volume 3. It makes sense to me if they're going to do it for Volume 1. Walt's Comic Shop's only got Volume 1 as well, and it seems like only Organic Price Books is a place that's listed this restock. So hopefully that means it is going to crop up in a few other places, but I haven't got word on Volume 2 or Volume 3 at the moment. But one book that we do have to look at is the Ven Omnibus by Donny Cates. Now, this is something that I reviewed last month and I really enjoyed it. I think this is a great run that a lot of people would love to read, but I also get the feeling that this book isn't going to be around for long. Because it was such a hyped release, it seemed like Marvel didn't print enough to meet demand, and it took a while for this to get across here. So yeah, at the moment, Amazon's selling on behalf of Speedy Hen, probably cheaper if you go on the website. Books Etc. I've got it along with Book Depository. Amazon's a little bit steeper than that. Both covers are available over at Organic Price Books, and I feel like this one should have been the main cover from the beginning, but that's not the point of this video. You can only get the DM variant from Forbidden Planet, and they're sold out of the main one, and Reed Comics does have both covers. Now, this is quite a popular title, so it would make sense if Marvel did a quick restock of it, but something weird happened with the stock levels when this first came out. And for me, again, if you have got the money to spend on it, I think it's better to just get it whilst it's available, even if it means it's still going to be available months after that, rather than it going out of print and then you're missing out on it completely. And this is a comparison that I'm going to be a hypocrite about later on in this video, but this might go the same way as something like Thor by Jason Aaron Volume 1. That was a massively hyped release. Everybody wanted that book and we thought it was going to stay in print for ages, but nope, it pretty much sold out as soon as it got released. And who knows, with this being another high profile hyped modern release, it could go the same way. And unfortunately there isn't a Volume 2 of Donny Cates' Venom coming to incentivize Marvel to do a reprint. And another one that I'm going to be preemptive about that I think might have a similar situation is the Immortal Hulk Omnibus. This is probably the only omnibus that was more hyped than Venom by Donny Cates, and for some reason I just get the feeling that Marvel isn't going to print enough of them. Sure, yeah, I get the feeling they would do a restock eventually, but I just think it's one that's worth pre-ordering. It's coming out in July this year, so you've got a chance to save your money. It's going to be a very whammy boy. I personally think that the second half of this book wasn't anywhere near as good as the hype or even the first half, but still I know a lot of people want this book and I'd hate for you to miss out on it, so I'd consider pre-ordering this one just so that you can make sure you get it in your collection. And speaking of Hulk omnibuses, I get the feeling that the Silver Age Volume 1's going to disappear soon. I know that there's an upcoming Volume 2, but at the same time it seems like this has sat around for a while. It seemed like the vocal minority wanted this reprinted in the first place, and then a lot of people just didn't want to buy it. So I am happy for those who did want a Volume 2 and that it's finally going to be released later this year, but I'm just not too sure on Volume 1. And as well, stuff like Daredevil Silver Silver Age Volume 2's coming out, but it doesn't mean that they've done a restock or even a reprint of Silver Age Volume 1. So I don't think the rules that we've got with some of the modern omnibuses work for some of the older ones. Like, look at the Amazing Spider-Man, how sporadic have those releases been? But there are still a few places that are selling it. You have got Books Etc. and Speedy Hen, and if I'm remembering correctly, I did see this in the sales section of Forbidden Planet. Yeah, so both covers were in the sales section at one point, which I don't think is a great sign, but now it's currently unavailable. And they also pretty much had to buy it at half price. So I don't know, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it's one that I think should be on your radar. One that pretty much disappeared overnight was Moon Knight by Houston, Benson and Hurwitz. It seems like after the Disney Plus show came out, everybody pretty much forgot about this character. But yeah, as you can see here, it isn't available from Amazon, and it hasn't been for quite a bit of time. But I do remember seeing this over at Organic Price Books recently. So the regular cover is sold out, but you can still get the DM variant, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of copies of that left. But this is such a great omnibus, I think way too many people are sleeping on this. Okay, decent, so you can get the standard cover from Forbidden Planet. You can get the DM variant from Reed Comics, but it's Purple Button of Doom for the standard edition. It's saying that it's out of print over at Walt's Comic Shop, but it's a little bit cheaper if you wanted the DM variant. But yeah, this is one of those books that it disappeared so quickly that I don't know if there would be a restock or a reprint or anything like that. I was surprised this book even got announced. I was really happy, it's one of my favourites, it's right there. But Moon Knight is still a bit more of an obscure character, so Marvel won't have as much incentive if there isn't a lot of attention on him. I know they're doing those Mark Spector omnibuses, but that's still more for a niche audience. So if you really wanted this modern Moon Knight omnibus, I think it's something that really needs to be at the top of your priorities. Some good news, and I mentioned it earlier on, but the Uncanny X-Men Volume 1 is getting a restock. It is pretty much in time for this Volume 5 to come out, and I'm not sure why they haven't done the other volumes, but it does still look like Volume 2 and Volume 3 are the ones that are really difficult to get. Sorry, Volume 5's coming out in June, I got that wrong. Yeah, so you can already get your pre-orders in over at Organic Price Books. It doesn't look like this is an official reprint, so it might start cropping up in other places. A few copies might become available on Amazon around that time, but still, I do think this is good news, and it's worth keeping an eye out for Volume 2 and Volume 3 in case they get a similar treatment. But another one that might come as a bit of a disappointment to some, but I think the reprint of The Amazing Spider-Man by J. Michael Straczynski is going out to print again as well. It's not available from Amazon, even though they're not showing me the right book. Why aren't they showing me the right book? What's going on here? Okay, so I can't actually find it over here at Amazon. It says it's sold out and on back order over at Organic Price Books, but it won't let you order it. And same for the DM variant, but at least that one allows you to get an order in. But again, it seems to be the case that people get very excited when the announcement comes out that something's going to get reprinted, but then they seem to forget by the time it comes out, which means that people are missing out on some of the books that they really wanted. Can't see it in stock over here at Forbidden Planet, and I'm not seeing it over here at Reed Comics either. Yeah, it's Purple Button of Doom over here, unfortunately, and same for Volume 2 as well. You can get the DM variant from Walt's Comic Shop, and it is just under cover price, and it's pretty much cover price for the standard edition, but still, it looks like this is dried up immediately, and like I said with these reprints, they need to be your priority. This was a perfect example because Volume 2 was available for ages because of the fact that most people missed out on Volume 1, but now it seems like you can't get either of them. Sometimes you kind of have to jigsaw your collection together and get this copy whilst it's available and wait for this to get reprinted, and then hopefully stumble across a restock of this one, and it looks like this is going to be one of those series as well. Hopefully they might do another reprint with it being such an in-demand title, but there are a couple of places where you can get it for cover price, and if it is going to be the case it's going to be years until this gets reprinted again, maybe it's worth buying it from one of these places. Now another one that I've had confirmation from JP about is the standard edition cover of The Amazing Spider-Man by Nick Spencer omnibus. Volume 1, Volume 2's not out yet, but yeah, it's this cover specifically, even though I do think that the DM variant's quite nice as well. I just think a lot of people don't like this letterbox format, but it's out of print at Diamond, which does mean that a lot of places will still have stock of it, but once that stock dries up, that's pretty much it. So if you really like this cover and you knew this was the one that you were going to get, make sure you jump on it quickly. But yeah, when I was at Reed Comics, it looked like The Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5 was out of stock, but it seems like it's available over at Organic Price Books. There's only a couple of places that are selling it at Amazon. Books Etc. still got it. That would probably be the one that I recommend. Disappeared for a little bit back in January, but yeah, this might be another one of those series, like I just said, that you have to kind of Frankenstein your collection together. There might not be a case that you're going to be able to get every single volume at the same time, and in a similar fashion, I'm going to be talking about the Captain America by Ed Brubaker omnibuses. Now these have pretty much all been reprinted over the last couple of years, but it already looks like Volume 1's going out of stock again. There's one available from A Place in Space over at Amazon, and it seems like they've been the only place for quite a while now, but I remember saying last year that this is going to be one of those series that you're going to wait around on, and you're going to hope that you can get all 5 volumes at the same time, but then one of them will just go out of stock again, and it looks like that's the case. It's sold out over at Organic Price Books, both the standard edition and the DM variant. Last I checked, Forbidden Planet had the DM variant, but I'm not sure if that's going to be the case this now. Yeah, can't seem to find it at the moment. But they do have The Death of Captain America on sale, so it might be worth picking that up if you wanted it. Purple Button are doing for both covers over at Reed Comics. So unfortunately, it does seem to be the case that you might struggle a bit to get Volume 1, but now that it's been announced that both Volumes 4 and Volume 5 are going to be reprinted, it's the perfect time to at least try and get these. Or at least bare minimum, make sure you're getting stuff like The Death of Captain America and Captain America Lives, because you don't want it to be the case that Marvel does a restock of Volume 1 and then Volume 2 and Volume 3 are out of print. Another one that went a little bit sketchy was the Predator Omnibus. So yeah, Amazon's promoting Speedy Hen. It's only been in print for a couple of months, but the thing that's really got me a bit cautious about this one is the fact that I don't remember there being a Volume 2 being announced. I believe both covers are available from Organic Price Books, but they're both on back order unfortunately. Both covers are available from Forbidden Planet, and it might be the case that this is one of those that's just going to have weird stock levels for a bit. The Alien Omnibuses seem to keep in stock for quite a while, so it might be the case that this is going to be the same, but without there being that Volume 2, you might end up forgetting that this book exists, and you might have really wanted it, but you're hoping for it to go to a cheaper price, so just make sure that it's on the radar. I know there's probably only a couple of people that wanted this book, but still I'm going to mention it in case you were one of them, but it's the Marvel Horror Omnibus Lives Again, Returns, I don't know what it's called. Yeah, so it's literally within the last couple of weeks that Amazon sold out to this, and now it's just not available anywhere. But at the same time, again, it could be the case that the Volume 1 gets reprinted and now you can't get Volume 2. Can't seem to find it over here at Organic Price Books. I'm gonna highly doubt that Forbidden Planet's got it. Yeah, just can't see it anywhere. But this was such a niche book, and I imagine with the list of possible reprints that Marvel's got, this is gonna be very low down on it. Okay, so this might have been where I saw it, because you can get both covers from Reed Comics, and if you were one of the few people that wanted this book in the first place, make sure that you're buying this soon. When this goes out of print, all you're gonna have is a bunch of people selling it for a ridiculous amount over cover price, and this could go in a similar direction to stuff like Tomb of Dracula Volume 2 and Volume 3, that Marvel just doesn't really see a reason to reprint it. So do not sleep around, make sure it's pretty close to the top of your list if you did want this. Another book that I think is going to be in a similar niche is the Knights of Pendragon Omnibus. It's pretty much at the same price that it's been since it was first announced, but again, Amazon's promoting Speedy Hen over itself. Books Etc. still got it, and it was only within the last couple of months that this got printed, but I'm just going to be honest with you, I cannot see Marvel doing a big print run of this. Like, not many people even know who this team was. I only knew because I was a fan of Captain Britain. Both covers are available over at Organic Price Books. I believe only the DM variant's available at Forbidden Planet. Yeah, only the DM, so the standard's gone. Both covers are available from Reed Comics, and like I said, I'm not going to check everywhere for this because I know there's not too many people that want it, but if you did want it, make sure you get this. Even if it stays in stock for another 6 months, A, that would surprise me, but B, it shouldn't matter if you wanted this book in the first place, because I very much believe that one day this will just disappear in a similar league to how it happened with those Marvel horror books, and when less people are interested in a title, it means that the value in the aftermarket goes up significantly, because they know there's not going to be many other people that are just selling it on a whim. Might as well stay on the Britain topic whilst we can, but it's the Captain Britain Omnibus reprint. Both covers are on sale over at Forbidden Planet, which I don't think is a great sign. It is still available in quite a few places, but I get the feeling that this is going to start disappearing soon. And also there's just that elephant in the room with all the stuff that happened with Alan Moore and how he doesn't want his name associated with it, so who knows where Marvel's head's really at with that. I'm surprised we got a reprint in the first place, but I'm glad that we did, and I'm glad they expanded it. But still, I would not be waiting around on this one. It was one that I made sure that I got as soon as I could, and it's nearly been in print for a year now. Again, we'll keep on with the British theme because Excalibur Volume 2 was another one that I was a bit worried about. Volume 1's back in stock over at Amazon. I remember this was difficult to get at one point. Why am I imagining things? There's already a Volume 3 solicited, so you don't want to miss out on some of the earlier volumes. Amazon's saying that there's only 11 left in stock and no indication that they're going to get more. Books Etc. doesn't have it, but Speedy Hen does, and Book Depository, and there are a couple of others. But Volume 1 did go out of print at one point, and if they'd allow that to happen for the first volume, why wouldn't they like that for the second? Because this will naturally have a lower print run in the first place. They have only got the DM variant for Volume 1 in stock, but you can still get both covers for Volume 2. But again, the real reason it's on this list is because I saw it cropping up in the Forbidden Planet sale. So yeah, this is pretty much the only Excalibur Omnibus that they've got at the moment, and it probably doesn't help that I didn't spell it correctly. Oh, apparently I didn't. But look, it's less than half price. They are really trying to get rid of this. And again, with these more niche books, even though there are sequel volumes coming out, if there is going to be a restock, I don't think it's going to be a big one, and it could very well be the case that Marvel just prints the sequel volume and doesn't decide to go back to some of the earlier ones. So Excalibur is definitely a title that I think you should jump on if you were missing it. Another one, and I promise that everything isn't related to the Forbidden Planet sale, but it's the Thor by Matt Fraction Omnibus. I believe both covers are on sale, but at the minute they've just got the Quesada one. The Copio main one was available and it was on sale, but lately it has gone out of stock, which is the start of those warning signs for me. And there's so many different Thor volumes that people are wanting. They're wanting Jason Aaron, they're also wanting the Jan Jurgens stuff. We're getting a reprint of the Straczynski volume, which I'm very excited for. But yeah, there's only 13 places that are selling it on Amazon. Books Etc. has got it along with Speedy Hand and a few others. It's been in print since June, so it's been just over 6 months. The main cover's on back order over at Organic Price Books. And yeah, with this being one of the less popular Thor runs because of how prolific this character is, I think you need to just be jumping on it. But whilst we're here, some good news is that there is going to be a restock of the first volume of Thor by Jason Aaron. It's apparently coming out in April of this year. I thought it'd be a lot closer to the release date for volume 2. I do believe other places will get it, but Organic Price Books was the first place to announce it, and obviously I'm a little bit biased towards them. But this is one that I think you should be getting your pre-orders in with, because there was a lot of people that regretted missing out on the first printing of this, and you want to make sure that that's not going to happen to you again, especially with volume 2 coming out, so just make sure that you've got this on your radar. I'm losing my voice, so I am going to try and speed through this as quickly as possible. Hopefully you're all still having a good time, but the Ben Reilly Omnibus Volume 2 is one that I think is in danger of going out of print now. Since they've announced that Volume 1 is getting a reprinting, it means that a lot of people are going to start buying this all of a sudden, because they didn't want to buy a Volume 2 when they thought they couldn't get a Volume 1, but the smart people are buying this book now. The last thing you want to do is pay over cover price for Volume 2 because you were waiting for a reprint of Volume 1. Another one is going to be the Thunderbolts Omnibus Volume 2. It's sort of in a similar category to Excalibur. I do think that when the film comes out, this probably will get a massive reprint, or at least the first volume will. But that's the thing, this is a sequel volume, so you don't know how long you're going to be waiting. You can't always guarantee that something's going to get reprinted, so you might as well just buy it if you've got the money for it whilst it's available. And again, I do believe that this is on sale over at Forbidden Planet. Yeah, so both covers were on sale at one point, but now it's completely unavailable. The standard cover's on back order, but you can get the DM variant, and that volume 3 should be coming out soon, so they're all just going to look great together. Yeah, May this year, and I think by May this year, it might start disappearing from other places, so you might be left with a volume 3 when you could have got a volume 2 now. Another restock that I think should come as great news to some of you guys is Fantastic Four by Jonathan Hickman volume 1, but I believe they said it was about April that it's going to come back available. So it looks like volume 2 is the one that's difficult to get, but it might be the case that when volume 1 comes back in print, they'll do a stealth restock of volume 2. By God, that's gone out of print quickly. Literally no one's selling it. Hopefully with Marvel noticing that volume 1 needs a restock, they've also noticed that volume 2 does as well. This is such a prolific title, it's a massive name, it's a massive team, so why wouldn't they? So what I am saying is make sure you get that volume 1 restock, but just keep your eye out for volume 2. JP also told me that the standard edition cover of the Hickman Avengers Omnibus is already out of stock. I think that's the best cover as well. You can still get this one here, but it's a little bit worrying that this has pretty much gone out of print before it was even released. I swear it was January this came out. Yeah, 24th of January. And already there's pretty much nobody that's selling it over at Amazon. You've got Book Depository, but they say they're not getting it until halfway through the month. Both covers are sold out over at Organic Price Books, and it's Purple Button of Doom for the standard edition cover over at Read Comics. You can still get both covers from Walt's Comic Shop, but they are listing it as out of print. And this makes me wonder if something like Secret Warriors is going to go out of print pretty much as soon as it's released as well. These Hickman books dry up quick. It would make sense to me that there is going to be a restock, but I've got no word on it at the moment, and JP has told me that at Diamond level they just don't have any volumes of this. So if you can get this from anywhere and you knew it was one of your most wanted reprints, I'd rather just jump on it than have to risk paying over cover price. And you know what, we might as well look at Hickman's X-Men Omnibus, because this has been out for nearly a year now, and I don't hear people talking about it anymore. I don't understand anything about how you collect these Jonathan Hickman era X-Men books, if I'm honest. Like, I thought this omnibus was going to be everything, but I believe it's just his main series, so I just never jumped into it. Like, look, you've got House of X, Powers of X, X of Swords, Swords of X, the bin of X, and I just don't know what's happening with it, but I get the feeling that this might be another one that just disappears. It seems like it's available at the moment, so if you wanted it, jump on it, but I don't know, Hickman doesn't seem to have good luck when it comes to omnibuses. One that I still haven't got my hands on is the House of M omnibus. There's a used copy for a very low price, and it just says it's acceptable from Amazon's warehouse, which always just worries me, but there are not a lot of places that are selling this. I had this on order with Books Etc, and they just never sent it to me, and I haven't really seen seen anybody in the UK get this. I believe it was on back order over at Organic Price Books. Great, you can get the standard edition at the moment, so I'd definitely be recommending jumping on this. The DM variant showing back order, but I asked JP specifically about this book and he did say that it's not out of stock at Diamond just yet, so hopefully more places will still be able to get it, but especially here in the UK we've got none of these, so someone help us out. I believe like the direct market did get some of these, so like your Forbidden Planet and your Read Comics should hopefully have some. Yeah, they've just got the DM variant, which is weird. These say that they're getting some in March, so that might be worth keeping your eye on. And Walt's Comic Shop has both volumes available. There is a massively discounted one in the Nick and Dent sale, but it's showing sold out as soon as you click on it. Both covers are available over at Comics Bugle, so that definitely is an option. But these event omnibuses are so weird from Marvel. Some of them stick around for ages, then others disappear straight away. And House of M is a massive title, so I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people wanted this. Now, my camera battery is flashing again, so we're just going to blast through the last two books, because they are both Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, good news, Volume 1 is getting a restocking in, I believe, April. Yeah, April this year, and it looks like it's going to be all 3 covers. Organic Price Books is the only place at the moment that's got it available for pre-order, so I'd recommend getting your pre-orders in there. But you saw on the last Whale Watch the prices that this was going for once it was out of print. So don't sleep around on this, especially with a Volume 3 already solicited, and it seems like Marvel's committed to getting all of these volumes out. But what JP also told me is that the DM variants for Volume 2 are completely sold out. And at the moment, the standard cover's on back order as well. I do feel like Marvel's going to be committed to keeping these in print with just how frequent they've been printing them in the first place, and them also expanding the rest of the Ultimate Marvel universe into the omnibus format. But at the same time, that's not guaranteed, and you're probably already bored of hearing me say it. I've said it countless times for this video, but it's better to just get a book if it's already available. Like, it's contrary to what we've seen in the Forbidden Planet sale, but most of these omnibuses don't go for a massive discount. So if you're happy with the price it's at the moment, you might as well just jump on it. And Ultimate Spider-Man's such a phenomenal series, I'm always going to encourage people to go and buy it, so maybe I'm just not a good person to ask when it comes to that. But yeah, I'm gonna have to wrap this up pretty quickly because my camera is flashing like it's on its last life. But in the comment section below, mention any of the books that you think might be going out of print, or maybe you've got a stealth restock. And do me a solid and share this video where you can. Last time I got a super thanks when I did a Whale Watch, which, you know, it just really made my day. Like, that's only happened a couple of times, but every time it does, it makes me feel like I've done something right on YouTube. So massive shout out for that, and hopefully people have enjoyed this video as well. So I'm gonna leave this here, and until next time, just make sure that you stay safe and stay mad, all you dogs. Woof woof. See you at the next video.